Hey everybody, it's Grayson. Welcome back to the channel and I hope you're having a great day. I want to tell you how much I despise credit card hackers or just hackers in general. So unfortunately, my credit card got hacked in July. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I am a firm believer that it's so much better to buy things with credit cards than it is debit cards. Now, as somebody who's been in over $50,000 of credit card debt, you might be going, why in the HE double hockey sticks would you even recommend this? Well, I've been on that side and now I'm on the other side. And this hack issue is one of the main reasons why I use credit cards for almost all my purchases. And let me tell you what, back around July 2nd, I got a text on my phone from Chase. I have a Chase credit card and they said, we got a charge for $500 and something for a service in India. Was it you? Now I do travel and I like traveling, but I wasn't in India. I was in home. So before I hit yes or no, I went back and I checked my Chase mobile app right on my phone. I saw it on there and I said, that certainly was not me. Now, you have to be careful with a lot of these text messages because banks do this now, but there are some that will have a link in there, which almost always going to be spam. That is even part of the fraud. But the Chase one was just a yes or no. And since I already checked my account separate from the text message, I knew it was definitely fraud. So I hit no. They immediately texted back and said, we have canceled your card and we are going to issue a new one. Now, that was the easy part. And that is actually why I love credit cards. I didn't really have to do any work. But the big issue is that it's just a pain in the ass. Because now my credit card number is going to change and we use that credit card for almost everything because it had relatively good rewards. If you've ever done travel or ever done rewards points on credit cards, the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal is quite good and it gives you some really great options. So we use that for most of our purchases, which means we were going to have to go through and change all of our services that we pay through that card with a new one. But that's just part of the story. This is main reason why I use credit cards. Because if you think about it, that was $500 and something coming out of my account. Now, if that was my debit card, that'd be direct money out of my bank account. If I was living paycheck to paycheck, or if I needed that $500, that money was gone. Now, you could call the bank just like you would, and you could say, hey, this is fraud. I didn't purchase this. And they generally will give you the money back relatively quickly. But the big difference between a debit card and a credit card is that a bank will fight much harder for their own money than they will for yours. Because when you buy with credit, you're buying with the bank's money. So they will fight for that money way harder than a debit card or your regular bank will for your cash. And the biggest thing that I have seen over the years and talked to many people is that while the bank might give you your money back in your bank account, your cash account, oftentimes they freeze that money. You can't use it, you can't pull it out, you can't go to the ATM and get it until they finish their investigation. I don't have that problem with credit cards. I can just move on and use another credit card. The biggest inconvenience for me was that I was actually leaving on an international trip 2 weeks later, and I used that credit card while I'm overseas. It's a great card, it doesn't have foreign transaction fees, and it makes my life easy. And if you've ever traveled in Europe, you know many places use credit all over the place. We were in Norway, and many of the towns were almost purely cashless. Trying to find an ATM was like a struggle if you needed local currency. They just used cards. So much easier. I would never use a debit card while I was traveling internationally. I wouldn't do it. So a credit card was important for me to have. And luckily, this happened early enough that we were able to get our card a couple days before we left for our flight. So we were able to get our card and update it. And the beautiful thing about Chase, at least, is they updated almost all of our services with the new card number. They updated all of our subscriptions minus about 3 or 4. It was glorious. I hadn't even seen that before. That was pretty cool. So they made the process so much easier. But the reason why I tell you this is because you will see a lot of people saying, Dave Ramsey being one of them, that credit cards are evil, you shouldn't use credit for anything, blah, blah, blah. And while you have the same protections on your credit card as you do your debit card because they're typically pushed through Visa or MasterCard, when they steal your debit card, they have a direct access to your cash, to your bank account. This is not the case when they steal your credit card. They've stolen the bank's money and you kind of just move on. So I have several credit cards, not a ton. I have, I think, 4 credit cards that I cycle through depending on what I'm using. I have one specifically for gas and groceries because it has good cash back. I have one just for points in our main Chase card. I pay off all my credit cards every month. I haven't paid a cent in interest in 11 years since I paid off my last large credit card balance. I learned my lesson. I've been there. But the main reason why I use credit cards, and this hacking attempt was a big reminder why, is that hacking is massive right now. Credit card fraud is so large, or card fraud is so large that it's happening in droves. But it is what we live in right now. And that is the main reason why I use and love credit cards. It's not for the rewards. I'm not getting rich off rewards. It's for the protections of keeping my bank account away from online transactions, traveling internationally, all that kind of stuff. It's so much easier to just call the credit card company and go, nope, wasn't me. And they just wipe it off, send you a new one, and you move on. You don't have to worry about the bank doing an investigation and freezing your funds, because it does happen. I have talked to many people where that has happened. So even if you want to say in the comments below that this doesn't happen, banks do it relatively quick, it does happen. I have met personally where it's happened. I've had it happen to myself when I used debit cards while getting out of debt. I had my debit card stolen. It took them a week to unfreeze the funds because they had to go through their investigation. While that cash was in there, I couldn't use it. So it wasn't very useful for me. So I do know that this happens regularly. So credit cards are so much better when it comes to fraud. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you had or dealt with credit card fraud or card fraud lately? Were you glad that you had a credit card, or was your bank fast in getting you the money back if it was just a debit card? I'd love to know. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I hope to see you next time, and I hope we're all just a little bit wealthier.